The Garam Masala is Hindi for hot mix or hot spices. Masala just means mixture or spice mixture, and garam is hot in Hindi. Now this isn't hot in the sense that these spices are going to blow you away or set your mouth on fire or anything like that. They're hot in that they are the strong pungent spices, but they're also known for their medicinal qualities, so it's thought that the hot is in relation to that. So I'll show you what we can what we're going to use to make this version of garam masala. Okay, cumin. You're going to be wanting, we're only going to make a small quantity here, because you're best making it in small quantities and making it often, because it can lose its flavour, because these spices are quite high in the volatile oils that will give the flavour, so they can dry out if once ground, that is, very quickly. So you only want to make a small quantity. So what we're going to do with this recipe, we're going to take 4 teaspoons of cumin seeds. That's not quite a full one there, so that's about 4 teaspoons of cumin seeds. Then we're going to take next 3 of our coriander seeds. Okay, we're going to take 1 of our black peppercorns. It's going to go in. We're going to take just about 3 of our green cardamom, and then we're going to take 1 of the fennel, and then we're going to take in about 3 bay leaves. 1, 2, 3 bay leaves. As I said, make sure these are dry. It doesn't matter, because we're just going to give them a slight drying in the pan. So that's what we're going to do next. Okay, now I'm just going to tell you a little something. This is just, again, my personal preference, but it's just based on what I've found. I've tried many different garam masala recipes, and some are obviously better than others. But the best garam masala I ever tasted was from Prashad in Bradford. Now, if you watch the Gordon Ramsay's Best Restaurants, they were the finalists in that, and Koshi Patel makes her own particular garam masala. Now, I was intrigued when I was talking to Bobby, the owner, that she dries the spices for 3 weeks. She doesn't dry roast them, she dries them for 3 weeks. So I did a little bit of research about that, because it was quite curious, because I've always been led to believe that you dry roast the spices in a pan. But what I found out was that one of the reasons that this is done in India is that during monsoon season, when a lot of the spices are collected in, they're quite wet. And to be able to grind them into powder, you need to dry them out. So they would dry them in the sun. They wouldn't be necessarily roasted in a pan. They would be laid out on the roof somewhere on a flat container and dried out for a few weeks in the sun, so that they would be nice and dry, so that you could grind them. But they wouldn't be roasted. It would be, I suppose, a very gentle, slow roasting technique. And this enables the garam masalas, or the spices, to have more of an aromatic, pungent quality to them. Now, I found that when you actually roast them in a pan, they tend to become more bitter, particularly if you over roast them. So I was thinking about this. So obviously in this country we don't have the sun, we can't dry roast them for 3 weeks, even though I know that Koshi Patel does it in some way or other, and I don't know how she does it, because he didn't give me the secret. But what I found was that if I dry these, we dried these at work at Curry to Go in a pie warmer, which isn't too warm, and we dried them out for about a week, and then we tried it that way, and we got a really good result. I also tried leaving them at home in warm places like the airing cupboard or whatnot. But I'm just going to show you, just for your own convenience, because we don't want to get too precious about the whole thing. We're going to do it in a pan, but we're going to do it on a very low light and just for a few seconds. We're not going to let it smoke, we're not going to let it burn, because if those spices burn, they will become bitter and the whole flavour is completely different. So this is what we're going to do. So I've got my pan here on the hob, and we're just going to turn this on to a low light. Just very low, and just warm the pan up. You don't need to put any oil in there or anything like that, just straight into the dry pan. Now, as I said, we don't want it too warm, so just heat your pan up. And then what I do is, because with these steel woks they heat up very quickly because the metal's very thin, is just straight in with the spices, and then I just literally just turn the heat off. So it's not burning, it's not cooking, you've just got the warmth of your pan there, just enough to just dry them out. But because most of these spices are bought commercially, they really do not need drying out. In fact, a lot of chefs that I know that make garam masala, they don't roast it at all. It goes straight from the dried spices into the spice grinder. But it is beneficial for your bay leaves because it just helps them to dry a little bit. So I would just leave them in there just for about 5 minutes, just to warm and dry out. And then once they've cooled for a few minutes after that, then you can grind them, and that's what we'll do next. Okay, so our spices are cool, and we're just going to put them into our grinder. Now, another little tip, you don't want to overfill this. This is why it's best to make smaller quantities, because it won't grind very well. You'll find that you'll be pulling big chunks of spices out of your grinder. There you go. Have a look in that. You can see that it's only just about half full there. It's not over full at all. So put our top on and give that a good whiz. I'll just give it a little turn upside down like that, just ensures that everything doesn't, you don't get spices stuck underneath the rotor blades there. And that's more or less done. I don't want it too fine, I want it quite coarse. I like it like that personally myself. So that looks about right. We'll just empty that into our container. You can have a look at it. Now if you do get any big whole pieces of spice that haven't ground, you can just pick them out and pop them back in the grinder, but we've done pretty well with that actually, not so bad. There you can see. Now you can see with the garam masala that isn't roasted to death, it's lighter in colour as opposed to the darker garam masala. If you buy the commercial brands, they're always darker, whereas these ones are lighter when it's done this way. And I noticed that about Prashad's garam masala, it was much lighter in colour. So that's really aromatic, lovely, and that will be used in some of the dishes that we're going to make in this video. So next we'll get cooking some curries.